Well, hi folks, and welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. Now, with the Old Classic Car website soon approaching its 25th anniversary, one of the most common questions I get asked is what car-related events, museums and other gatherings are worth catching when in the UK. Sometimes it's people who are visiting from overseas asking a question, others it's people who are maybe new to the classic and the vintage car hobby and they want to gen up and really immerse themselves in the world of historic cars. And it occurred to me that over the last 5 or 6 years or so, the channel has seen quite a few videos relating to UK motor museums appear on it. Places we've been to, some are purely car museums, others a little bit of everything transport related, others perhaps leaning more towards commercial vehicles, lorries, buses, coaches, trams, that kind of thing. Maybe the odd air museum, but that's really a little bit out of the scope of this particular video. Motorcycles too. I will include a look at some motorcycle related museums here as well. So this isn't every transport museum here in the UK, but this is a look at the ones that we've been to, and there are quite a few, over the last few years. So what I've done is I've had a trawl through the back catalogue of museum related videos that are here on the Old Classic Car channel, pick my favourites, and then I'm going to extract clips, some of the highlights of our visits to each of these places, and they will form this particular compilation. And what I'll do is, in the video description, I'll include links to the full video. So if there's one particular museum that really catches your eye, maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm staying in that area next year, let's find out a little bit more about that one, perhaps the Dover Transport Museum or the Aldridge Transport Museum, Beaulieu, etc, etc, then I'll include links to the full videos in the description. So this is a summary of many of the museums. For longer videos about each of them, go and visit the description, and I think that'll probably work quite well. This will be a fairly longish video, so you may want to watch this one over several sittings, but hopefully this will give you a few ideas of places that you might want to go to here in the UK that are worth a visit, especially if you are interested in your classic cars. Some of the museums will be quite well known. You've got like the British Motor Museum down at Gaydon, or Beaulieu, the National Motor Museum. Others a little bit smaller, some that you may not have actually heard of. Llangollen Motor Museum, for instance, that's a great little place, and I'll be including that one in here. So yeah, a mix of large museums, small museums, ones that are run as a business, others which are sort of more private, smaller, intimate. So yeah, a bit of everything in this particular one, and hopefully you'll find something here of interest. Right, without further ado, let's crack on with the first car museum to feature in this Old Classic Car video. What's this? An Austin 10.4 Sherborne. Some nice pumps going on. Oh yes. Those AA signs are nice, aren't they? Got a Mark III Mini. Austin Tourer, Austin 8 Tourer. ROP petrol cans. They are, aren't they? Very tasty. We've got a Moggy post office telephones van, Morris Minor van.
That's similar to the Dinky model.
Yes. I've got one of those jacks, that orange one's like ours at home.
Yeah.
Like the shell at the top. Nice. And lurking in here, we have, there's an FX4 over there, one of the last. This is the Austin 12.4 low loader. Some old photos of these on the website, some original photos. This is a 1937. Quite a handsome machine. ELC 837. All aboard! You could hear that coming, wouldn't you? Good grief, look at these.
There's one tucked in there.
This is a trolley, this, isn't it?
I like that.
Or is it? I don't know. Was it just a... I'm not sure. No, it's got a big engine, isn't it?
I don't think
No,
that's
I
an
think it probably...
electric engine.
No, it doesn't look it, does it?
I like
Bexhill. Hastings Tramway Company. Dartford Market Street. Yes, they're great, aren't they?
Oh, another nice shop there.
I'll stand back a bit and we can fit them all in. We've got a Thornycroft. J-type petrol engine open lorry. Entered service 1916, withdrawn in 67. Yep, there's a standard Vanguard, really nice one, phase 2 with the boot. We've got a perfect little caravan which looked just great behind the Vanguard. At the back there's a Lycra road sweeper. It's one of those, lives not far from us. We've got a Trabant, East German. Trabant P601 limousine from 1989. You can tell the later ones because they have the chunkier bumper ends on them. Reliant, one of the last three-wheelers. And a 1961 Harding, it can't be 1961 is it? 1961 Harding Consort. Some sort of invalid carriage. And in here, oof, look at these. This van is an example of a vehicle which had to be saved because of its rarity. Will it still be safe and dry and will not deteriorate any further? Wow, an old co-op. Is it a milk float? I'm not sure if is it a milk float or is it a van? Or is it just sort of a delivery vehicle? Wow, what a cool thing. Next to it, another electric vehicle. What's this one? NCB Electric. D.O. Jones. That was the livery. That was the name of the shop, wasn't it? Further back, that D.O. Jones, wasn't it? Fresh cream eggs and Channel Island milk. A few more bits and bobs which we can't get to. An AEC Regent double decker. Off we go. First time on the trolley bus. Pretty nice petrol pump. And then let's have a quick look, see what's here. Got a couple of Douglases going on down there. Not quite sure what that is. An Express, 1954. Royal Enfield. That's quite nice. Sort of barn find bikes around here, which is pretty cool. More Royal Enfields. Look at these up here. Another Royal Enfield 1957, that one. AJS. Nice fishtail exhaust going on. There's a bit of everything here. What's up here? A Triumph. Wow, just look at those. We've got a Vincent going on here. 1968 tax disc. If you like your bike's oily rag, this is a pretty good place to be. What do we have here? A Racing Rudge. What's that one there? An Ambassador. I've never seen one of those before. A Panther. Triumph. What the heck's this? This twin engine BSA. Is that? Two engines on it, this one. It's got a bit of a story to tell, isn't it?
I think it's probably the Vincent.
That is.
Or the AJS.
That is beauty, that, isn't it? What's this then? A new Hudson. And a spare engine. Got a registration on it. I think I'd be more than fond of it if I owned that. That's a thing of beauty, that is, isn't it?
Surprisingly thin tyres.
Look at this here, the ABC scooter motor, brainchild of design and engineer George Bradshaw, because ABC used to do like cycle cars back in the 20s. So then he must have gone on.
There's a proper barn find one over here.
That Norton is gorgeous, isn't it?
Get this one. Proper barn find.
Got a BSA, got a matchless here. And this B's it's an M20 500cc 1942. And then we've got a bit of a, what's this? It's a racy looking machine. And then I've no idea what that is, but if you like barn finds, there's your bike.
Look at the lamp on it.
It's a nice substantial lamp, that, isn't it? Got a dinky little push bike down there. Another one here. So that one looks like it's been restored, and this one hasn't. Doesn't that look lovely with a leather toolbox?
I think I prefer the one that hasn't been restored.
Yeah, it's still got all the original pinstriping going on, isn't it? That's lovely. Yeah, the Rudges. They are a beautiful thing, aren't they? Some modern Yamaha in front, but the Rudge is that's just a stunning thing, isn't it? Just old motorcycles everywhere you look.
I like these.
Cool.
Especially like the AJS.
So what have we got here? This is a Vincent again, isn't it? HRD.
This one's a Henderson.
Oh, it's just a Henderson. Oh, that's the. So that was the sign back there, wasn't it? A Henderson. Excelsior Motor Manufacturing and Supply Company, Chicago, USA. Look at that.
The engine.
How cool is that? What's the sidecar? Oh, it's an Invacar. A Westcliff Invacar of Essex. Probably
Nice petrol pump.
at least as well remembered for making those little pale blue invalid carriages This is quite the machine, isn't it? So the engine's down off to the side, steering's over there. We're back to the beginning again. So there's a quick walk around the museum here down in Norwich. So if anyone wants to come and appreciate some proper bikes, come down to the Norfolk Motorcycle Museum, which is just near to the railway station at North Walsham. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to have a wander around. So I think we'll have a more in-depth mooch around ourselves now. Well, welcome to Old Classic Car. Today we find ourselves at the wonderful Brooklands Motor Museum, home to motor racing before the war, and plenty going on still today. Here we've got a Morgan Aero Jap engine car racer. Let's have a look at information on the side. Raced at Brooklands from 1929 to 1935. Fastest speed of 116 miles an hour in 1934.
And women like Kate Peter made their names touching 160 miles per hour on the straight. And mass cycle races drew huge crowds too.
What have we got here? Rudge. So what's this? 1922 998cc V-twin.
3,000 former hurricane fighters went at Brooklands, helped win the Battle of Britain, while the 2,500
several Grand Prix cars of the 1970s and into the 80s. Lots of memorabilia. And there's the old Pathfinder pedal car, produced by the same people who did the Austin J40. These were only made for a couple of years or so. Pathfinder Special, 1949-50. Vintage Llangollen. Got a vintage Napier. Wooden frame for the roof.
Down there. Yeah, and then you just got the basic controls and that's it.
Using 3-speed gearbox, motorcycle,
Yes, just 3-speed.
No brakes on the front.
very popular the electric
An MGM type midget. What's this one here? Another M type, I think, or is it not? If you could let me know in the comments what this particular one is. VC8174, and next to it is a Hillman Aero Minx. Very swish little car.
Going up the bottom, you will see a number plate on one of
Up hard over here, we've got the BRM V16. This is Type 15. This is the Mark 1 with a larger air intake on the front. Duesenberg. Denny Holmes Yardley McLaren from the late 60s, early 70s. We've got a Cooper T51. Something modern. Something else modern.
Would you like me to explain them?
Okay, you go for it then.
That's obviously a McLaren. That's Kimi Raikkonen's car. That must be 2002 or 2003, not sure. That's Mercedes, and that's the V10 with the narrow wing and.
You have to excuse me a moment. just a bit. There's another one over there, another Merc over there.
Yeah, so that's, I'd say 2011 or 2012 with the snub nose, and then there's another one over there that's slightly narrower, so I'd say that's 2013. That one.
The wonderful smell of Castrol R. Alas, the camera won't pick that up. But wonderful old Bugatti. Which model is it? I'm not quite sure. It's got the aperture on the side of the bonnet for the supercharger, so I'm guessing it's a T35B with a Bugatti pedal car alongside. Another Bugatti being warmed up. It's a Type 37. There's a Samsung light car. There's a very early Aston Martin. So this one's from 1921. Jackie Stewart's old Tyrrell Ford. With Aston Martin RF9922, and a wonderful Dennis fire engine. Even commercial vehicles, you get everything here at Brooklands. This is a Morris of the early 1920s, I would guess. Not much driver protection back in those days. Open-sided cab, open window there, no glass in there. You've got a windscreen, so that's a slight luxury. There's the engine in there, big old side-valve 4-cylinder unit. There's the back end of the Hunter. This is the view the drivers would have had. Is Concorde Bravo Delta Golf. I remember seeing this flying into Manchester at least on one occasion back in the late 70s or early 1980s when I was an avid plane spotter at Manchester Airport, or the former Ringway as it used to be. Is a Series 2 or Mark II Bedford CA. Is that a worker bus again, a bit like at the museum the other day? This one's in the colours of BOAC, the British Overseas Airways Corporation. Also in the livery of BOAC. This is a jet-powered runway clearer. If you had snow, ice on the runway, you'd fire up this old beauty and do the business. It's got a jet engine in the back. You'd fire this up. I'm not quite sure what engine it is. But you fire that up. What does it say there? Avon. So it's a Rolls-Royce Avon. Okay. So you run this up. And you would duct the hot exhaust gases through the front here. And this would clear the runway for you. So like I say, if it's covered in ice and snow, you'd run this up and down and it will clear the runway for you. And that would last for the rest of the day. Tucked away in a corner, no one's really looking at it, but it's equally as rare as some of the other things here. Concorde's got his landing lights on. Of course, Brooklands was home to Vickers for many, many years.
Flow that was fixed at the line by the Italians in 100.
Got a Vickers Viking. There was the Varsity and there was the Viking. One was a tail dragger, i.e. this one, the Viking. And the other sat on 3 sets of undercarriage. And there was the Varsity version, as used by the RAF. Well, today we find ourselves at Dover Transport Museum. We're going to have a quick walk around. Let's have a look in here. I haven't actually gone in yet properly. We've got a wonderful little electric milk float, UKR 965. I'll have to look up the date of that. We begin with a Morris Minor Panda car, police car. Morris Minor 1000, 1970. We'll have a proper look at that. We've got a one-way system. And here is a Lee Francis P-type. What's this particular car? This car dates from 1929, so it's proper vintage Lee Francis or Leaf, 1500cc Meadows engine, brought new by a surgeon in Edinburgh. That's a very handsome machine. What's that there then? That's a bit like the Talbot, isn't it? It looks roots, doesn't it? Yeah. That's really nice. Yeah, it's a Humber, I think, isn't it? Then we've got, what's it, Austin, an A90 Atlantic. Yeah, the fixed head. And the Wolseley 690, a grey one. Very, very nice. Very rare car now. Mark III Wolseley 690. 15 years under a tarpaulin in a nearby garden. The museum hopes one day to restore it as time and funds become available. Wow. It's not a little Bobby Dazzler. No smoking, no matches, no lights allowed. Shades of on the buses going on here. And I'm guessing it's probably still in use. It's very close to the exit over there, so it'd be quite easy to drive it out. Let's have a quick look inside, see what the interior layout is. More signs up there. Pratt's Motor Spirit and Vacuum Motor Car Oils. No entry, but we can still have a look, can't we? This coach travelled all over the British Isles and the continent. Its later days were spent transporting miners to and from work at the Kent coalfields. And in 1986 it was kindly donated by the Ayres family to the Dover Transport Museum. It's a very handsome machine. Probably my favourite vehicle so far is this Bedford CA Mark I tipper. You can tell it's a Mark I because of the two-piece windscreen. The Mark II had a shallow one-piece windscreen that went all the way across, then the Mark III had a much deeper one-piece windscreen. So this is a Mark I, and quite rare being a tipper. I did have one of these once. This is absolutely lovely, this is. Curtis Brothers, builders and decorators. Looks like the original sign writing, which we know is always very good. So I'll peek inside through the window. Yeah, this is very original. The back end has been repainted, but the cab, the metal cab, which was very prone to rotting out, has actually survived really well. The gutters often go bad on these. This one's, like I say, that's survived really nicely, and considering it's all steel cab, wings, doors and so on, it's actually survived in beautiful condition. And like I say, it's got a little drop side tipper body on it. Peugeot 309 AA service. It's got a Walker plaque on the back. Martin Walter Limited. Supplied by Martin Walter Limited. Folkestone, Margate, Canterbury and Broadstairs. Of course, Folkestone is just down the road from where we are now. All the clobber in the back. Next, alongside this AA motorcycle combination, we've got a fantastic vintage, or vintage-ish, Dennis tour coach thing. Motor Coach Holidays, Glenton Tours. There it is. Where were they based? It appears they went all over. But this one has a board on the side for Round the Orme, which presumably is the Great Orme up at Llandudno. Glenton Tours. A sixpence for children, a shilling for adults. That is absolutely glorious. Look at the interior trim. So original in here. I can see why they say don't climb on it, don't touch, etc. This is absolutely stunning. All that old leatherwork in the back there. A 1914 Pierce Arrow R7, a 5-ton truck. Suppliers of sand and ballast. Quite a load in the back. On loan to the War Department, apparently. And this sort of display here just talks a little bit about the vehicles that were used around about the time of the Great War. On the scuttle here, and the shape of the door was also slightly different. They had, where's this one, you can't really see, but the back edge of the door angles. On the very first Jummies it went straight vertically. But it's a beautiful little car, one of the most popular of the Austin 7s now. And these in the Ulsters command strong money now. And alongside it is another variation on the Austin 7 theme, but this is slightly later. This is an Austin 7 Opal, which is more of the ruby kind of era, whereas this is very much vintage. This is post-vintage, sort of mid-1930s, something like that. Again, it's a Tourer. The Chummy is a 4-seater. This is a 2-seater. Both restored cars, both very smart indeed. So a quick look at the information here. And just as usable now as it was back in the 50s and the 1960s when they were current. Various motorcycles over here. The boys in blue. Got a Triumph TR6P. I don't know much about these. A Triumph 60 Thunderbird. And this is a Velocet LE. The police bought lots of these back in the day. They usually had a phone mounted on the back somewhere. A very quiet water-cooled engine, so you could sneak up on the ne'er-do-wells, and they were a very popular choice, but they weren't particularly quick, if I remember right. And there's the Aveling and Porter again. The little side valve Fords, and this is where it all began for the Ford 8s in this country. BAD 899, this is a Ford Model Y, this is a long rad. The earlier cars had a shorter radiator and no dip in the front bumper. Then they extended the radiator, made it slightly taller, and to enable access to the starter handle hole, which was through there, they had to put a dip in the front bumper, and that's what this particular car is. 933cc 8-horse side valve Ford engine. 933 is the same engine as the Ford Anglia, which I run, the E494A, so the engine was around for quite a long time, and it was stretched to 1172 for the Ford Pop 103Es of the mid to late 1950s. This particular car, it says here, was manufactured in 1936, owned for many years by a Dover hovercraft captain. Once owned by the long since closed Shepherd's Well garage, and a familiar sight in the Dover rural area. This is a 1960 Norman B2C S Trials bike. Local maker, Norman Cycles Limited of Ashford, England. Ashford not very far from Dover, which is where we are at the moment. A bit more memorabilia up here. Got various Castrol items, BMC touch-up paint. Ninette dust absorbing polisher, Castrolese grease, the Norman Nippy. These appear for sale quite regularly still, and I'm often tempted by something like that. Another one there, slightly different. I had a separate fuel tank on there, whereas this one, it was integral to the frame. A bit more streamlined, a bit more advanced looking, probably a couple of years newer. Various examples of different Nippies here. The Lido. And there's a very nice little Norman there. We've got a Rudge up here. A Rudge Autocycle, 98cc from the 1940s. I do like that. That's a very oily rag condition machine. Let's see what it says about that. The Rudge Autocycle. Started with the autocycle in the late 1930s. This model dates from the 1940s, has a 98cc Junior Deluxe Villiers engine, kindly loaned to the museum by Dover Transport Society member Mr. Robert Tomlins. Isn't that lovely? I mean, that could have all been repainted and all this lovely old patina would have been lost, but no, you've got all the original decals on there, the transfers, bit of wear where the trouser legs would have worn away at the Rudge and the emblem there, and it's just all the better for it. Original, they can only be original once. Unfortunately that one is. Another Norman here. So lightly restored, that's a motorbike by the look of it. Another autocycle. A quick look at these other motorcycles along here. Various Normans. That's quite a collection. I've never seen so many Normans in one place before. It's great to see it, especially as it's, like I say, it's a local manufacturer of mopeds, autocycles and motorcycles. It's great that they've got them all collected here so close to their home. There's the Austin Atlantic again. Have another quick look at that as it's quiet. I was going to see where the others have gone. Oh, here's one of them. Various old photographs on the wall. Trojan van. It's an Austin K8, Austin three-way loader in 1950. Yeah, that's the Austin K8. Got a Bedford there. There's the K8 again, and again, and again. Pedal cars, and taking pride of place is an Austin J40. Very nice indeed. Fairly early example. The early examples had the Flying A on the bonnet. But after a while they decided that the Flying A was a bit of a safety hazard with young children sort of jumping up and down and around them, so they took those off. That was deleted. So this is a fairly early example. This is probably a Triang. Got a ride-on locomotive there. Another pedal car down there. Another Triang, probably a Bermuda that's been repainted, something like that. Got a period hardware shop here. Hands up anyone who remembers these products that you can see in here.
John, he's one of the many customers who visits the shop. He works for the Dover Engineering Works. Usually was sent round by his workmates to buy nails. This was done by pouring them into a scales pan on the counter.
Cabinet here has a huge selection of cutaway engines and gearboxes. Can't really look at everything, but it's a real assortment here. Got a BSA Bantam engine that's been sectioned.
This was done by using a mopping bucket.
BSA 4-speed gearbox. Here we've got like a recreation of an old street scene. So this is the electrical shop, full of many electrical exciting things, wirelesses, record players, all sorts of high-tech gear for the 1940s and 1950s. Radio service, all sorts of radios pre and post-war by the look of it. This rotund gentleman is looking after the smithy. There's the milkman with his milk delivery vehicle. St John Street, Aylesbury. A Lewis Electric milk float, specifically designed for the delivery of fresh milk. Shoe repair shop. And this is the camera shop, full of many cameras, box brownies and other Kodaks. The AS4, I think it was. The earlier A30s had a circular speedo, different fuel filler neck arrangement and a few other little differences, but this is how most A30s were and are today. It's a four-door car, looks very original to me. Let's see what it says on the information board. OYM 795. car on display is undergoing restoration. Flashing indicators are a later addition. Normally you would have just been reliant on the semaphore indicators, which are there. But many people fitted flashing indicators because they thought most people aren't or no longer looking out for the little pop-up semaphore indicators. Yeah, it's got flashing ones on the back as well. Very bonny little car, very similar to the A35 that came along later, but some of the differences are the A35 had a larger rear window. This has quite a small little window, but there was a wraparound curved window on the A35. And the gutters were different. On the A35 the gutter came along here and ran down here, whereas on the A30 it just went all the way round. These had the 803cc A-series engine. The A35 had the 948cc engine, which went on into the A40 Mark 1 and the early A40 Mark 2s. But yeah, nice to see. Got a Rover 75. Not quite sure what the story with this is. Is this the Mayor's? Oh, this is the Mayor's old car, I think I read about. And then we have a Winchester taxi, fiberglass bodied taxied. It was built between 1963 and 1972. The Winchester was the first London cab to be built in fiberglass. The model was not successful. Gained only about 2% of the market, and total production for all versions was less than 200 over a 9-year run. So, a very rare machine nowadays. And back to commercial vehicles again. We've got a Bedford OW. This is a wartime, or was a wartime vehicle, hence the very simple, basically flat front end tin work. The civilian trucks before and after the war, they had much curvier wings, nice bonnet and so on, with their separate headlamps and a vertical grille. But because of the wartime shortages, they went for a much simpler, plainer, flatter, squared off front end. And many of these military vehicles, when they were decommissioned after the war, they went into civilian service but carried on wearing their military style front end tin work. And that's exactly what this is. This is very much military as well. There's an old Austin lorry. Many of these were badged as Morris, but this is an Austin version. Early 1950s, very similar to the truck that Greengrass, if you ever watched Heartbeat. Greengrass had a lorry based on this, but a Morris version. And I'm guessing that the Austin version is a little bit rarer. It's got the BMC diesel engine according to this badge. Yeah, it's good to see. Restored. Nice drop side wooden body on the back. And alongside it is a Series 1 Land Rover. This one is a Barclay Caravette. We've got an old advert here. One of them being towed by a motorcycle and sidecar combination. Fantastic. Here we've got the recreated offices for a bus company. And in here, bits of bus memorabilia. Leyland radiator grille there. Big old Dennis. I mean, look at the size of that. That is just vast. Various items of ephemera relating to bus operations. East Kent long service certificate. There's one of those at home somewhere. Various ticket machines, models, and so on. Duple coachwork. Very nice, probably off a Bedford OB. I will guess the old duple-bodied Bedford. Many scooters in this particular room. Got a Henkel Tourist, Lambretta, another Lambretta, and another Lambretta. Various things. What's that? A Triumph Tina. 1936 or 7 Austin 10 Cambridge. Very nice restored example. DTT 346. DTT, so TT is actually a Devon, Exmouth, Exeter area registration, because my A40 came from there as well. And if you actually have a look at the number plate itself, you'll see it's got the separate rounded letters. These are riveted on from behind, so that's the proper number plate has been retained, which, as you might have spotted with some of the other videos I've had on the channel before now, I'm quite fond of correct number plates as well as the correct registrations, not one of these reissued numbers. So that's the original plate and the original number. So that's really good to see. and that's been restored to very nice condition indeed. 4-door saloon, and inside it looks very original indeed, and we've got an old kiddie seat. This looks slightly later, this is probably 40s or 1950s, quite a rare thing, I've not seen one of those before, so that's good to see. Look in the back, got a picnic on there, all very nicely done inside, seats original trim, wonderful. And there's like recreated street all the way down both sides of this particular building. This used to have, like I said, this was the old swimming pool. And there's some of the other shops, shop frontages. There's a cutaway version of the Velocette LE, the one we saw before, the water-cooled bike, so beloved of police forces up and down the land. Upstairs overlooking the public car park we have a collection of old mopeds. This is a rally, is this a runabout of some description? RJG 186, Push Maxi, a mini motor equipped bicycle. Basically you'd have your normal bicycle, and if you wanted a bit of extra assistance while you're cycling along, you could bolt one of these on the back. There's another one there, that's the power pack. That's the mini motor. What's this one over here? Third one in. Can't quite see what that is. And this is a Firefly. A Vincent Firefly. Tiny little engine there. And this is the home of the CM Booth motor car collection. Primarily Morgans, I believe, but it should be interesting to have a route around and just see what there is. What's this? And here we are inside. So go and have a quick look. Wonderful collection of old oil bottles. There's certainly plenty of motor and memorabilia in here to ogle over. Lots of dinky toys as well. Oof, look at those. Certainly an impressive collection of Morgans.
Space there, isn't it? There's a big space under it.
Yes, that's the Morgan Grand Prix. What do we have here then? That's ROP Motor Spirit can there. What's this, a Morgan Aero?
They did a modern version of these, which was they called the Aero as well.
Did they?
Yeah, so it was like the new Morgan sort of cross-eyed shape.
Oh, one of those.
You know, the ones that look sort of like they're looking in.
Oh, yes.
A bit odd.
Nice Austin dealership sign up there.
You see that? Globe.
Oh yeah, Aero Special.
That's nice.
Wow. Pretty amazing collection of spark plugs here. KLG signs, old signs there. Pieces out of old magazines, but I'm assuming some of these are Aero related. Got the old tins for Lodge spark plugs and KLG. There's Castrol oil cans, Castrol Grand Prix.
I
That's
know,
nice.
yeah, that's the one that caught my eye as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think I've got the S.
Castrol R. Yeah, that's the one you want.
Yeah.
Castrol R.
Are those significantly rare?
It's the racing one, isn't it? It's the oil they use.
The one that smells nice.
Yes. A lovely shell glow.
I like the Benzol one.
Austin Motor Cars. Austin.
Oh, that Castrol.
Oh, that.
Oil.
Oh, yes. What have we got here? Austin recommend mobile oil exclusively. See the filler cap. There's a lovely old garage memorabilia.
Castrol.
There's some stuff here, isn't it? Wow. Oh yeah, some sort of Wakefield Castrol oiler or greaser there.
Yeah, I thought it was greaser. Morgan's.
This little gem is a 1934 Morgan Super Sport, built in 1935 with a matchless overhead valve air-cooled engine. There it is. Really is a thing of beauty, this, isn't it? And what's this van? What is it?
It's a Morris.
The Morris. Does it say?
Light van, it says.
Morris light van. We like our old commercials. What does it say there on the? There's like a little information.
1929 Morris light van, 11.9 horsepower, 4-cylinder side valve engine, 3-speed and reverse gearbox, based on the Cowley.
Well, so what year is it?
Royal
29.
Mail van.
Was it?
Oh, it's got.
Sold to a Surrey farmer in 35 and used for general farm duties until 1959, when it was bought by a landscape gardener who used it until 1964. Wow. It's a real Bobby Dazzler, isn't it? A mobile oil cabinet rammed with old memorabilia. Look at these Pratts and Carberine filler funnels up here.
Sphinx plugs.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. You've got a nice. What is that?
Yeah, more cans. Castrol gear oil, Jumbo burning oil, Junior Shell, Gargoyle, Mobile Oil A, various maps, Carbarol, Lodge plugs, Ferro Grip fan belt, Stop It Freezing, an early antifreeze, some racing goggles there, Price's motor iron, John Bull tyres.
BP energy.
Yeah, what's that?
I've
BP.
never seen a proper BP tin before. It's always signed.
The petrol pump.
Texaco.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a couple of nice badges in there, plaques.
Back to the 1929 Morris van. Quick peek inside. Stewart and Arden Limited for Morris Trucks, service after purchase. And if that was the original supplying dealer.
Wow. Oh, it's one of these.
What's that? Oh yeah, that's the only other time I've ever seen one of those. We've got one of those in the back of Big Dodge, haven't we?
Yeah. Was that later Red X?
Power.
Is that a later
That's
Red
a slightly
X?
later
Yeah,
one than the one we saw
different
before.
colours.
Midland Cycle Touring
Mobile
bags.
oil.
Mobile oil.
More badges.
That's more Morgan badges, aren't they? Mostly Morgans.
Wow.
Ferro Grip fan belt. Loads more badges.
Is that a Model A? Yeah, it is.
If that wasn't enough, we got another room. Oh, look at that caravan. This is a 1929 Ford Model A two-door saloon, a Tudor, built at Ford Trafford Park, Manchester. Blah blah blah. A number of different body styles were available. This was known as the Tudor, or two-door. Same running gear as the Model AA we've got.
That sidecar.
Stunning vintage motorcycle and sidecar combination here.
Never seen one.
Shell globes, everywhere you look, another Shell pump. Wow.
Red
What's
X.
that? Red X. Cool, that's nice, isn't it? If you like your old caravans, you're in for a treat. This is a 1936 Bampton expanding model. Look at that. Bampton Brothers Coach Builders, Swindon, Wiltshire. Isn't that just... Reminds me of that Porterfold we had a bit. Obviously that was a lot newer.
I like the light. I've just seen it on the side of the Model A.
Oh,
It's a lovely
yeah,
light.
it's like a little spot lamp, isn't it?
Got the period tax disc 1930s or the petrol pump on the side.
Yeah, it's in very nice order, this Model A, isn't it? Very usable vintage car. Good spares availability if you want to get a vintage car and an Austin 7's too small. The Model A is probably one of the best choices, really.
Wow.
Can you see in there? Can you?
Yeah, you can get an idea. It's actually quite a low roof, but I'm sure it'll go up a bit after it expanding. 1 gallon.
I think that concludes our visit to the most wonderful CM Booth Collection Motor Museum down in Rolverden in Kent. And this wonderful old lorry is a 1948 Fordson 7V. These particular lorries were built either side of World War II. This is a post-war example. The grille was slightly curvier on the pre-war versions, and the post-war 7Vs had the type that you see here. This one's got a V8 side valve engine, the old flathead V8, and I'm sure it sounds fantastic. And there's another classic Ford. This is a Mark I Ford Transit drop side pickup truck. This one registered in 1966. There's one identical to this that goes to some of the steam rallies and vintage rallies near us, but I don't think it's this one. But it's great to see this preserved example down at the Aldridge Museum. 1929 Austin 6 pickup Now it looks like it may have been converted from a saloon way back in the olden days, probably in World War II, but what a fantastic old vehicle. And this is probably one of my favourites of all the vehicles on show at this particular museum. Well, how about this then, a Morris J2 camper van. That is really quite something with that roof. I've seen these before, but never one in the metal, as it were. Looks like it's been restored. I did once have a pickup version of the Morris J2, which was quite a rarity, but I've never owned an old camper. Now, apparently this started out as a 1935 double-decker bus, and in 1947 received a van body fitted to the original chassis by the Birmingham firm of Riverlea Bodies and used by Birmingham City Transport to carry cash from garages to the bank each day. Now for a bit of classic van action, this is a 1939 Morris Commercial 3/4 ton delivery van. Fantastic. The Ripley Cooperative Society. Most of these were vans and pickups, the commercial versions, but a few were bodied specially as ice cream vans, and we got this one here. I remember seeing this when we came for the ice milk float all those years ago, but I don't think it was quite as smart as this. It's all been restored since then. Let's have a proper look. This is a fairly latish example with a painted grille. The early ones had the Mazak grille, same as the A40 Devon cars. There are a couple of brochure reviews, I think, elsewhere on the channel that show the commercial versions of the A40 in a little bit more detail. But this is probably a one-off. It's a beautiful thing. 1954, 1200cc petrol engine, which was the forerunner of the B-series engine. 4-speed box, steering column change, a bit like the Somerset. Delivered to a garage in Kendal as a chassis cab, and garage built the ice cream van body onto the chassis. And then, alongside the Leyland, we have this beautiful old Daimler.
With great appeal.
Not quite factory. Jowett Javelin. Now this is an earlyish car, it's got the smaller headlamps. A real quality car, Talbot of London. This would have been shortly before the Roots Group bought out Talbot. Magnificent. Here, an Alvis Speed 25, 1937. Another real quality car, quality British car of the day. Very sleek, low roofline. You see the pram irons on the back for the folding hood. Next to that, we jump to the post-war era and the Riley 2.5 litre RMB of 1948. So this is the Riley RM. They went through various iterations of the RM series, but this is a fairly early one. And the pale blue badge on the radiator tells us that this is the 2.5 litre. There goes the monorail. Next to the Riley RMB, we've got the Austin A90 Atlantic. This was BMC's idea of a car for America, but didn't really catch on. We've got the low-light Morris Minor from 1949. The Ford Consul, the Mark I Cortina, as became. Next to that, the Consul Mark I convertible. Very, very swish. Over here is a Crossley Burney Streamline of 1934. This was a very advanced car from the Manchester manufacturer. Incredible car. Old style, oldie worldy garage. A variety of classic petrol pumps. These are the really early, probably 1920s era. Obviously hand pumped, mechanical pump. This is a Beck meter. Complete with the illuminated globes on the top, so these will be shining out at night to attract passing custom, especially in the winter months. Let's have a peer inside. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. Have you been to the Beaulieu Museum? I certainly recommend popping in here if you can, if you find yourself down in the New Forest area. Looks a bit like my desk, just a bit tidier. God, there's some real gems of automobilia, i.e. motoring memorabilia in here. Isn't that brilliant? Here's the Brough Superior. A few different versions of this. This is in 1936. And this really is the Rolls Royce of motorcycles. Absolutely incredible. Just look at the tank on it. This was the favoured steed of Lawrence of Arabia, of course. We've got a little van here. What's this? Is this a Reliant or a Rally? It's a Reliant. These were built in the post-war years. Yeah, 1947 Reliant 800 weight van. A cost-effective way of transporting your wares if you were a small business in the post-war years, especially when fuel was rationed as it was at the time of this little van. So the more miles per gallon you could do on your deliveries, the better, and that's where little vehicles like this really came into their own. I mean, there weren't much in the way of creature comforts, no side windows or anything like that, but at least you got a windscreen. And I think you could probably drive it on a motorcycle licence as well. So all in all, a really cheap way of delivering goods. A few years later, we've got an Austin A35. This is a fairly early A35 because it's still got the A30's pop-up semaphore indicators behind the door there, although this one has been converted to flashing indicators which the later vans had. But later vans would have had them here, not inboard of the join. Yeah, and you can tell this is an early A35. I mean, it's A35 obviously because it's got the painted grille as opposed to the chrome grille of the A30, but it's still got the A30's impressed door panels. The later A35 vans, they went through a few different iterations and engine sizes, but the later ones, they just had the smooth doors very similar to those on the saloon. Next to the Repro garage, a few more classic British cars. We've got a Rover, this is a 14, this is a pre-war P2. Lovely car, pre-war with the spoked wheels. A modified revised version came out after the war, which was the P3, available with various engine sizes. I think the smallest was the 10 horsepower version of the P2, and it went right the way up to, I think, 20, maybe even beyond that. And here, mustn't miss this out, the Leyland clock. Leyland, of course, home of Leyland Motors. Next to the glorious Rover, we've got a Ford Anglia E494A, just like ours back at home. So these were the forerunner, of course, of the Pop 103E. The 103E came after the Anglia. It was a even more back to basics car than the Anglia, and the Anglia was pretty rudimentary inside. Still with a side valve engine. The Anglia had a 933cc engine, whereas the Pop was the 1172. But it's the same body shell. Well, the Pop had to make do with painted bumpers and painted hubcaps, whereas the Anglia had chrome plated bumpers and shiny stainless steel centres to the hubcaps. So the lights were also much grander on the Anglia. Those on the Pop, if you find a photograph of a 103 Pop, they're much smaller Butler lamps, and these were just a little bit more comfortable with a nice Bakelite dashboard as opposed to the pressed metal of the later car. But next to that is an incredible little caravan. I'm guessing this is the kind of thing that would have been pulled behind a motorcycle. Some really small lightweight caravans were built, and this one dates to 1955. This one presented to a young Prince Charles and Princess Anne, a gift from the then Caravan Club. Over here, got a Series 1 Land Rover, 1948, first year of production, of course. a little charabanc alongside that. What make is this? And where are we? What make of charabanc? This is a Maxwell. Oh, you alright? Good. And here, ex-London Transport double-decker. Here we've got a lovely recreated garage here. How nice is that? Yeah.
It's all up there as well. It's really good, that one.
Wow. This is my kind of display. I love the attention to detail in these oldie worldy building recreations, from the aged brick effect to the Victoria VR post office box.
It's really well done, isn't it?
The old school crosser. The only thing you need are slotted screws, I'd suggest. Not plated,
level. The slot's level.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't have been level back in the day. No one bothered. But I like the old gutters.
Coming off and
yeah,
it's all just so good, isn't it?
I like the old gutters and the bit of ivy growing up the old battered wooden window frames. Some of the letters fallen off, dirty windows.
And here we have our next car. This is the Morris 8 Series 2. It was built shortly before World War II.
If I was to include everything that's on display here and you can visit and take part in, the video will be 3 times as long. So I think we'll probably wrap this one up, having now looked at pretty much all of the vintage and classic cars, interesting old cars, future classics and so on that are on display here at Beaulieu. Ex-World War II, 1945 build and withdrawn in 86. Not many things that wouldn't pull. Beginning with this wonderful 1930s Dennis Ace. A bonneted Dennis. Sometimes you see a similar style lorries with that front end used as gully emptiers, that kind of thing. What a Bobby Dazzler that is. Thanks to the museum for giving me the okay to video in here. Like I say, it's all free entry, so get yourself down here if you can. The duple bodied Bedford OB. These are just beautiful things. We used to go holidaying in South Wales, not far from Cardigan, and in Cardigan there was the Richards coach company, and there was a pair of these dumped outside there. One of their sort of garages in a little village called Mulgrove, and they were mouldering away for years, and every year we'd go on holiday there, and there were 2 of these just dumped outside, and I always remember those, and I think one of them at least went on to be restored. But what a beauty that is. Maybe a few people actually watching this video will remember travelling maybe to school on such a bus as this. Let me know in the comments if you've got any happy memories of these older coaches and buses. Let's have a look at the information. So this is 1949, and withdrawn in 1957, so it's only actually in use for a mere 8 years. God, look at those. Fantastic old Bristol double-decker bus there. Just such characterful things, these half-cab double-deckers and coaches. What a stylish old bus that is. ODL 400 duple Vega Bedford SBG of 1957. These chassis were built between 1950 and 1986. Simple, lightweight yet rugged chassis. Over 54,000 of the type were built. Wow. Again, just such an eye-catching, stylish vehicle. You didn't need to go, it would be much simpler just to make something square and boxy like they do now. But just look at that. Got a curved, this really curved glass. They were getting the hang of doing curved glass by this point in time, so they're certainly making the most of it in the designs of the buses of that era in the 1950s. I mean, here is their workshop area where I can see 3 vehicles being worked on. Over there is a chassis, it says 1920s Daimler, sole surviving bus of the original Vectis bus company, Dodson's. Rebuilding of the Dodson single deck body will commence shortly. Please help with a donation to help with restoration. Away in the corner here is a neat little minibus based on a Ford Transit 1984 converted into a bus. It's got a bonny little thing, isn't it? Again, the sort of thing that you probably would have seen quite regularly back in the 1980s, but now, where have they all gone? Apparently it's safe to come in here. What's that alongside it? Is that a Wolseley? I've not checked, I should have done. Probably isn't. That was a Humber, of course it is. That shape of radiator is very, very Humber actually. 1919 Humber 10 horse Tourer, made to order of a director of the Humber Car Company. It's designed to have the look of a 1914 model. Features Lucas dyno starter and a 4-speed gearbox, but only has rear wheel brakes. But even so, very, very different looking cars. That one looks so much older. On this era, I think the badges were still screwed on, I think. Whereas these, the Austin winged badge is moulded into the radiator surround by this point in time. Now, talking of standards, as I was a moment ago, just look at this stunning pre-war standard. I'm not quite sure which model this is, I think it may be a 16. What a beautiful old car that is. I know this one does run and it is used from time to time. What an immaculate car that is. Beautiful original leather seats inside there. What a comfy looking car that is. That's a rare, rare car, that one. Such a handsome car, that, there you go. Standard of Coventry. This wedge-shaped car here, this is a really interesting car, so we're going to have a closer look at that one now. This is the Douglas Hartley Special. This was a one-off made by a very gifted engineer back in the 1960s. What an incredible little car that is, totally unique, the only one ever built, of course. Yeah, what a groovy looking car that is. Those look like MG midget wheels to me. And I'm guessing there are probably quite a few parts that are borrowed, liberated from other cars. Look at this badge, I mean, look at the attention to detail that's gone into producing that one-off badge. What a groovy looking car that is. I mean, that's 1960s, but it was sort of predicting already the wedge shape that would become so popular in the 1970s. So Mr. Hartley was certainly ahead of the game when he designed and built this incredible car. Look at that. Next to that, Triumph GT6 Mark III. So this was the final version of the GT6. 2-litre straight six engine under that bonnet. A BMW and E36 convertible of some description, not quite sure which one. What do we have over here? A Rolls Royce or a Bentley perhaps, in many pieces. Another Bentley there. So there are a few projects around here. But let's have a quick look over here. We don't want to miss out on this gear here. Lots and lots of old engineering equipment here. A lovely old petrol pump. I'm not sure, can we get round to that? Let's see if we can get round to that if we squeeze ourselves in. In fact, there's a matching pair, Jill Barco or Gil Barco, I'm not quite sure which one that is. Yeah, very smart too. I'm sure there'll be a globe around somewhere that can go on there one day. That's Gil Barco as well. It's great that so much of this stuff has been rescued and saved, and not just thrown away. This is my kind of museum. So that's not been on the road for donkeys. I know Harley would like that one if he was here with me today, but sadly he is at school. Right. Of course, that engine, the engine that's in there, eventually, when it was stretched and 2 cylinders were added, it became its final form, the 2-litre, and of course the 2.5, but this is the 2-litre that went into the GT6. So that engine is an evolution and development of the SC, the small car engine that Standard developed in the early 1950s and made its debut in the Standard 8. It went on to feature in the bonnet of Heralds and Vitesses, again in 6-cylinder form, the late Spitfires and the MG Midget 1500. That engine can trace its roots back to this little car as well. So that was a very important engine for Standard Triumph. It was in production for many years. Right. Let's go past down here. We have a Morris Oxford, a 1967 Series 6 Oxford. And of course, what year would this be? Sort of very early 50s, late 40s, 50s. Really nice tartan seat covers. The old fluted bonnet, which was a thing on Vauxhalls for so many years. Yeah. Quite like those. Shades of A40 Devon. Well, there's an information sheet down here. Let's have a look. 1950, so it wasn't far out. Small brother of the Velox, this model shows a strong influence of Vauxhall's parent company General Motors with its very transatlantic styling. Reminds me of a sort of an estate car version of Brum, which used to be in the old TV series, if you remember that. That was a little bright yellow Citroen, I think. But this is the Woody, the estate car version, if you like, of the Citroen B12. Just imagine pottering around southern France in something like that. What's the story with this one? Sports model 2-seater with dicky seat, which held 2 comfortably but fully exposed to the elements. Or sometimes called a mother-in-law seat as well. And this car cost when new £650. Runs very well and can still meander through the lanes at 45 miles per hour. Yes, there's a real mix of pre-war and post-war cars here in this particular museum. Is this a museum you've been to? Let me know in the comments if you've been here yourself before. Like I said, I've been here quite a few times over the last probably 25 or 30 years. Some of these cars I've seen pretty much most times we've visited, others not so. So there is a turnover of vehicles here. There's always something being worked on. I've seen this one several times. Austin Mini Moke, which of course was produced for many, many years, both by BMC and later in Portugal these were built.
Concept and then ended up.
Now, Vauxhall, the XVR Concept. This is another car that I've got photos of from back in the day over on the Old Classic Car website on the main site. So if you've not visited there in a while, please check that out when you're done here. But this is the XVR. There are some photos of this. I thought it was silver originally. There's an original press photo or two of this on the website. One of 3 prototypes built. Only one was designed to be fully functional, and only this mock-up survives. It took 5 months to design and build. Certainly a wild looking car. So many interesting cars here at Gaydon. We'll try and walk around as many of them as we can. Okay, next up we have a fastback version of the Triumph TR7. Of course the TR7 was initially launched just as a 2-door fixed head coupe. The drop head coupe version will come along later, but when it first came out it was believed that there'd be no market for open top cars thanks to American safety regulations and so on, although they did ease throughout the 1970s. Back to classic Jaguars, and here we have the Jaguar XK120C, or the C-Type as it was more often referred to. A beautiful car of the early 1950s, designed very much with competing at Le Mans in mind, and did very, very well in that particular job. Next to it, the successor to the beautiful C-Type. Let's just have a look at the front because they really are wonderful. I know it is a bit corny to say so, but they almost do look feline, these particular Jaguars. Just stunning, wind cheating shape, that's what that was all about. Here we've got another D-Type. This is a short-nosed D-Type. You had the long nose and the short nose. The long nose cars tended to have a wing on the back, like a fin behind the driver's head, but the short noses didn't have that. This is a 1954 D-Type. It's a factory prototype, no less. And there's a clue as to why this car is so special. The millionth Austin, signed by the people who made it. And if you look very, very closely, it's looking a bit faded, you can still make out some of the names. Just in 1966. The Roadster came along in 62, but this is in 1966 onwards. There you go, 1965, half section, introduced in October 65. There you go. The show car was subsequently upgraded to Mark II specification and displayed at the 67 Turin Motor Show. Now, the central exhibition area often changes year on year. You go, different cars move, come and go, and so on. But the cars here on the outside road tend to be more static. Lots of family cars, cars that you probably remember when you were growing up in the 50s, 60s, 1970s, and maybe even a little bit later. So here we've got a Rover P4, next to the first Morris Minor, low-light Morris Minor from 1948. Originally these cars were much narrower, as you probably already know, and at the last minute they decided to widen it. So they'd already made a number of the front bumpers for these cars. So rather than make a new batch of bumpers to accommodate the wider width of the production car, these were originally called Mosquito when they were under development, but rather than make a new set of bumpers up, they'd simply chop them in half, move the two halves aside and put a little bit of an infill panel. And that explains why this extra section, this raised hump, appeared in every Morris Minor ever made. That was never originally intended, but that is the width of the extra piece that they installed in the centre of the car, just to make it a little bit wider and just a little bit happier looking, most likely. Again, this was designed by Alec Isagonis, who went on to design the Mini, the 1100 and so on. But this and the Mini were probably his greatest achievements, and this is the first one. First of the line in 1948. I'll just take a gentle stroll around here. Ford Anglia E494A, just like ours. And Armstrong Siddeley over the back there. That's a make you don't often hear of nowadays. A Triumph Mayflower. Oh, and a little Standard. Let's have a quick walk over here. So this is the Sapphire, isn't it? Yeah, with a taller grille, the Sapphire. The Star Sapphire had a slightly shorter grille. A little Standard, no boot lid. I'm guessing it's an 8. Very familiar territory we're on here. The Family 8, yes, that's what we've got. Family 8, 1955 that one. Ours is a 56. And our one at home resides with one of those. Mark 1 Austin A40 in Farina Grey. Well, ours has also got Farina Grey roof. That was a special option at the time. But the standard production car, the car that you could just buy straight off the shelf, your local BMC garage, had the two-tone paint. This is the saloon. The later Countryman had the split rear tailgate arrangement, made it a lot more practical because you could get quite a lot in there. It's quite a boxy design, but you had to feed it in through this little letterbox of a boot lid, which wasn't always great. Such a historic old Austin. Well, that gives us an idea of the journey. There's a nice 6-cylinder engine under there. It's left-hand drive because, of course, most of the roads it would have been driven on, people drove on the right. Another epic adventure here. London, Cape Town, and then back to London again. What car is this? An Austin 20 of 1922. And there's the history of this incredible car. What's this? A T-Type Melton Golfers Coupe of 1930. Spectacular. All sorts. A Bedford CA. We didn't see a CA van outside when we were looking around the vintage lorry event, which we were also here for today. Well, there's one in here. I think a lot of these vehicles are from Vauxhall's own heritage collection, which I think may have been disbanded, or at least is no longer with Vauxhall. Hence all these incredible Vauxhalls up here. Wow. Just have a quick scoot round. Cavalier Mark 1, Vauxhall Victor, the FE Victor, the Viscount, the luxury Viscount. Got a Cresta here, a PB Cresta, 1965. We've got an FB Victor Estate. What a treat. F-Type Vauxhall Victor, the sort of Series 2, fairly late F-Type. A PA Velox, these and the Cresta, about the 6-cylinder engine. Some later machines over there. VX220, and on the end here, an L-Type Vauxhall Wyvern of 1949. Wow, I wasn't expecting to see all these up here, and it's a left-hand drive Wyvern as well. That must be quite unusual now. A huge radio aerial, the antenna there on the pillar. Oh, interesting car. This gives you a good overview of what you might see when you come here to Gaydon for the British Motor Museum. Little Wolseley, so that's a Wolseley. Which one's that? The Hornet, I think, or the Wasp? Yeah. Big Austin 6. The Austin A90 Atlantic. It's the fixed head version. They did the open top car as well. Rover P3. There's that Wolseley 680 police car I saw before. The Morris Oxford MO. That's the revised MO. The very first cars. The bonnet curved around down here. Many people used to crack their head open on that very sharp corner, so they revised it a little bit so the bonnet stops there and this bit stays down there. That's the difference between the early and the slightly later MOs. Maestro. So many cars. That's a standard. This one, that's the standard ensign. That's the most basic version of the Phase 3 Vanguards. The ensign, very pared back specification. They're quite rare now. Got the prefect, the setup and beg, E493A prefect. Got MGYA, I think, the Y-type saloon. Got the Austin Champ, Austin A30. What's that over there? Is it a Riley? That's the Wolseley 1500, the black one there. There's that ensign again. Very rare survivor, that one. And a very special ceremonial Land Rover, Moggy convertible. I did used to remember what this one was. It's another idea by Rover. What's the registration? 3411AC. I think again this was an idea of producing a slightly upmarket car to sit alongside the Land Rover, in between the Land Rover and the P4 saloons. Jaguar, Mark 9. This was Sir William Lyons' own personal transport, this particular Series 1 XJ6 on a G, quite an early one. The XJ6 Series 1 came out in 1968. Got one of the very plush V12 Jaguars here, the XJ12. I think this was the Queen Mother's car, a Vanden Plas saloon, her HM Queen Mother's replacement for a 1955 Mark 7. I used to have one of those in my early 20s, a standard XJ12L, 1972. Right, so anyway, we've got a Series 2 V12 there, XJ12, and a Series 3 car. E-types. That's probably the last of the Series 3s, the V12s. We've got a Series 1 77RW, that's the famous Geneva Motor Show car. An X300, a 6-cylinder car. That was a replacement for the XJ40. Got the X350, that was the aluminium bodied car. Some later cars here, the Daimler DS420. Daimler here. Some of these are one-offs like this. The Daimler, I think this is the Corsica. This was a proposal for a convertible version of the Daimler, the X300 based Daimler. You know, the Cheshire Run is a road run for classic lorries, vans and pickup trucks and vehicles like that. And for many, many years this used to appear on the back of, was it an ERF possibly? This one used to be on the back of a big flatbed ERF, and it was displayed on there for years. I haven't seen it much in recent times. So it's really good to see this lovely old Ford again. It's right-hand drive, and obviously in the livery of Grocott Brothers, a well-established company in the area. Good old wartime Bedford. Okie dokie, right, next up in this lineup of wonderful vehicles here at the Grocott Heritage Centre is this Bedford, a wartime Bedford, and as you'll note, the front end panels are very different to most of the Bedfords of the late 30s, 40s and beginning of the 1950s that we see. Obviously styling wasn't a consideration in the Second World War, they'd simply wanted to get the vehicles out of the door. These much simpler front ends were fitted on. It would have been a lot easier to fix in the field, as it were, quicker to produce, probably cheaper to produce as well. So that is why these particular Bedfords of this era look like they do. Very, very workmanlike. And after the war, lots of them were sold off at sort of demob sales and were put into new lives in civilian hands. And next up, somewhat later than this sort of military spec early 1940s Bedford, we have this, a Bedford S-Type of the 1950s. This MAN dates to 1974 in unrestored condition. Maybe one day it'll be restored back to roadworthiness, but the important thing is it actually survives at all. 50 years old, this lorry. It's got a sleeper cab on it. So designed very much for long distance trips. Apparently this one did many runs to the Middle East while on the road with Gro Continental. Yeah, that looks really, really clean. That is in beautiful condition, and being a pickup, it must be quite rare. A phenomenal looking vehicle. How wonderful. is that? That is the most impressive vehicle of its type I think I've ever seen. The Leyland Lioness. Even the headlamps are just a work of art. Right.
Dipping headlights.
Oh wow, so dipping, so presumably that's done from the driver's compartment. Wow, isn't that just something else? Yeah, let's have a quick peer inside. That is just, well, words fail me, to be honest. This is just something else. Yeah, look at the way it's finished. Wow, how has this survived? Okay to pop in. Wow.
That's the gap in the seats there.
Oh, that's where the King and the Queen used to. Oh, I see. Right, so they've got extra leg room here. Good grief! What a vehicle. Now we have been given permission to go and have a closer look inside again to admire the wonderful interior in there. So we'll just clamber in gently, carefully. And again, commodious, very comfortable driver's compartment. I love the style of the instrument cluster down there. Almost horizontal, the steering. Big, probably fairly heavy steering, I would have thought. I love the familiar 1098 A-series engine under its bonnet. And that is in lovely condition. Some of these occasionally were badged up as Austins with a different grille, but this one is the original Morris. And next to that lovely Leyland Lioness, which I'm struggling to take my eyes off, is this incredible Scammell intruder in the livery of ALE, Abnormal Load Engineering. I've seen one or two ALE vehicles around over the years. And this is, what a hefty bit of kit this is. Even though we are in Leyland, not every vehicle is of Leyland manufacture, because the idea is to try and celebrate British commercial vehicles, whatever their origin. This has the twin steering front axles on it, and I must admit, some of the AECs, they are some of my favourite lorries of all. I just think they look really sturdy and they look really purposeful. So let's just poke this up here and have a quick look in the cab. Yeah, every year we try and catch the Cheshire Run, and you do see quite a few nice old lorries taking part in that. Maybe not quite as many older lorries as I'd like to see taking part, but times move on. Oh yeah, fantastic British trademark AEC. There's a Michelin man just on the top there, Monsieur Bibendum. Did you know the first Michelin guide came out in 1900? And there's actually a separate video here on the Old Classic Car channel all about the very first Michelin guides that were produced, printed in 1899, first one issued in 1900. But not just heavy metal here at the British Commercial Vehicle Museum, we also have vans. And look at this great lineup of vans here, headed by a very rare coach-built Morris Y van. It looks a bit like the Ford E83W, very similar, slightly less curvy grille, but you don't see many of these, especially with this post office radio service body and matching trailer on the back as well. We like a bit of trailer action here on the Old Classic Car channel. Yeah, it's a real treat to see that. This is a Fordson badged. Early ones were Fordsons, later ones were Thames. The later ones had beaded edges to the front wings. Yeah, the later ones had beaded edges, like a bit of a reinforcement thing really, because these could split quite easily if you nudge something. No commercial vehicle museum could not have a comma, and look at this beautiful flatbed comma over here. Ooh, lovely. I did have a comma Superpoise. I rescued it out of a barn in Somerset quite a few years ago. That had the big straight six petrol engine, but this has the famous Roots diesel engine. I'm guessing that means it's the TS3, but it's in beautiful condition. I love the shape of the cab on these. One-piece screen, gently curved, but just wonderful styling, I think, on these. Beautiful. And again, fantastic sign writing too. You can have a quick peer in there. I've just been given permission to open the door, so let's have a quick peer inside this magnificent diesel comma. Wow. Alright, so let's continue our walk around, and over here, ooh, the Bedford, an OL80 of 1950. In terms of appearance, these Bedfords, the bonneted Bedfords, are some of my favourites. They really are just stunning, and the condition of this one is, well, what an incredible assortment of really early road haulage vehicles. And it's great that so much of this history is being preserved here. I see the door is open on the Shellmex tanker, so I think someone must have left it open, so I'll shut that in a minute. It gives us a chance to have a quick look. Makes you want to go on a summer holiday. And I almost missed this, which would have been very remiss of me. This Morris-based ice cream van, Miss Avanti. Fantastic. It really is. To preserve these huge vehicles, especially tall vehicles, is very, very difficult. Indeed, this in the building itself is actually very historic. This building can trace its roots back to 1881. It was originally used for horse-drawn trams, and in later years electric trams, trolleybuses, buses such as those that we see here. Look at this, a Foden, fantastic Foden, of course, from Sandbach in sunny Cheshire, which is not too far away from here. A Foden bus, there we go, ex-Warrington Corporation. This one was built in 1956, fitted with East Lancs bodywork. There we go. Withdrawn in 1972, the last of the Warrington Fodens. Isn't this beautiful? Occasionally we see a Foden coach at some of the rallies that we get to. We don't see too many of these. There's one of these that lives, I noticed it the other day actually, just driving back down the A49 from Leominster, where I recorded a video at the Brightwells Classic Car Auction. There's one of these parked up, visible from the road, again in preservation. Here, a glorious Leyland, ex-Preston Corporation, built in 1957, bodywork by Crossley of Stockport, to a design by Park Royal Vehicles of West London. Isn't that just wonderful? The time, effort and cost that goes into preserving these double-deckers is just off the scale. And look at this, the first commercial vehicle of the day, a little Morris FG with the so-called threepenny bit cab, very unusual shape of cab. I think we saw one or two of these down at the Gaydon, the big classic lorry gathering down at Gaydon earlier this year. Please do not enter this vehicle, so we won't do that. But yeah, really, really cool. Very distinctive, like I say, the shape of the cab, and also these extra windows here to give you a bit of extra visibility. These were designed for parking in very tight spaces, hence the funny shape of cab and the way the back door is here. It's not the regular shaped cab. Wow, that is stunning. Ooh, car action. I'll have a look at those in a minute. But yeah, isn't that great? The Progress twin car. Here we have an Austin. Now, which model of Austin is this? I'm guessing it's mid-30s because we've moved to the painted radiator surround, but we're still on spoked wheels. So it's an Austin 12. Does it say? Doesn't actually say the precise year of this one. Top speed of about 60. Narrow tyres. Yep, Austin Motor Company was once one of Britain's best known and most successful makes of cars. Indeed. Yeah. Again, in lovely condition. I'm guessing that's probably a 6-cylinder car. Not quite sure. But yeah, about 1935, 36, that kind of age. Lovely, loads of room in the back. And of course, when you have loads of room in the back in a car of this age, usually means not much in the way of boot space. This does actually have a small boot on the back, but many times in the old photographs you see the boot lid hinged down and the big case is stacked on top just to fit them in. Yeah, lovely car, very nice. Quite an unusual colour scheme, two-tone grey and black. So it's a treat to see that one. Alright, we are back to PSVs. Lovely single decker here. This is a Daimler, I'm guessing, going off the fluted radiator header tank. Again, in lovely condition. It's a Daimler chassis built in Coventry, Northern Counties bodywork, built in Wigan. This one built in 1951. There you go, we've got the half cab. Half cab so called because you can see the cutaway, so the driver's on his own in this bit here and the engine is alongside. Please take care on the stairs. So I think that means we can probably go in and have a look. Let's go and have a quick peek inside. So there's the driver's compartment, all on his own in there. I do love these old vehicles, the detailing, the little signs. Look at this. Seating capacity 35, standing capacity 12. Children travelling at half fare do so providing they do not occupy a seat whilst adults are standing. That's it, children know your place. Right. Yeah, fantastic. Look at that. Even the door opening mechanisms are a work of art, beautifully made. Look at the little handle there. Some of the original upholstery back here. Interesting that it's side on back here. I would assume they would have all have been like this, but that's got wartime utility coachwork. So there wouldn't have been any styling fripperies on this, purely built using whatever was available. And all, yeah, I mean, often you see quite a lot of flair employed by the coach builders when building vehicles, but this one does look very utilitarian. All square edges, no flashy mouldings, no bright work, because of course with blackout and things you wouldn't want any bright work shining, reflecting light up into the sky of an evening. So yeah, so whereas this would be chrome, here it's painted over. Same with the lamps, no chrome on here. Built just to do a job and nothing else. It's amazing that survived at all, to be honest. what do we have here then? This is pre-war, 1935, Widnes Corporation, Leyland Lion. If you saw the video I did at the Commercial Vehicle Museum up at Leyland, they had that wonderful Leyland Lioness. It's a very smart Ford Prefect. Yeah, it's in great condition. And this is the Audi that Harley was talking about, an Audi 100. This is a very rare car now. Do you like this? It's very handsome, isn't it? Yeah, it's got a sort of, so what's that, H-reg, so beginning of the 1970s, about 1970. It's just sleek, isn't it? Yeah, sort of, looks sort of quality. Yeah, it's sort of quite classy looking, isn't it? Understated, but looks sort of quality. Nice full width wheel trims behind the hubcaps. Super clean underneath as well. It's in lovely condition. Yeah, it is nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's unusual as well, isn't it? You don't see many of these. Audi 100 LS. These were offered from 1968 onwards. Yep. Daimler Conquest 1956. Yep. Anything interesting here we need to know? Yep. Pre-selected gearbox. So the selector for that will be on the side of the steering column. Yep, there it is, that silver lever just in there. So the pre-selected gearbox does what it says on the tin. If you were approaching a corner, you wanted to change down a gear perhaps, you would pick your next gear using that. And this is a system that featured on many PSVs, on many buses, Daimler buses, that kind of thing. They also often had pre-selected gearboxes, so you would pick the next gear that you want, but it wouldn't engage yet, it wouldn't change gear until you press the little sort of button on the floor where a clutch pedal would normally be. It is actually sort of like a gear actuator button, I suppose you'd call it. And that would then change the car into the gear that you pre-selected on the lever there. So a slightly different approach to driving, but by all accounts quite a good system. Lots of pre-war Rileys also have this system. But Daimler persisted with pre-selected gearboxes for quite a long time, decades in fact. Of course, cars like the Daimler Majestic Major, I think they were so powerful that the power was too much for the pre-selected box, so they had a regular automatic. But your Conquests and your Conquest Centuries, that kind of thing, yeah, these all had pre-selectors. But yeah, nice to see one of those here. Looks to be in pretty sound condition as well. Let's have a quick just look over here. We don't want to miss anything out, do we? I love one of the best things about some of the old buses that you see preserved are the adverts. I love the detailing. How period correct advertisements are added. Drink Tizer, the appetizer. There's Cliff. Bit of summer holiday action. And there's Una Stubbs. She's around there as well, I think. Now we mustn't miss out the vehicles in the middle here. This is a London Transport. What's this then? So a quick read upon this. AC Regal. That's not that one, is it? No. Or is it? Yes, it could be. Now there is CCTV in here because there has been some damage caused by low life at some point in time, so I'll try not to set the alarm off, but we'll try and have a good look round and just see what gems we can spot in here. Yeah. Some wonderful memorabilia. Oh, there's an advert for the old Ford 8, Ford Model Y. Look at that. Huge stationary engine down here. What is that, I wonder? Can't quite see from here, but so many gems. I know someone who'd like those Castrol cans. Great memorabilia. Ooh, there's a Velo Solex just over the back there. And one of those little Brockhouse Corgi motorcycles, the fold-out motorcycles. But yeah, back to this. We have a just post-war, I guess, little Reliant three-wheeler van in the livery of Stonehurst Farm here. So that is just perfect. I wonder what these are like to drive. I'd love to know. I'd love to have a go in one of these one day. They look pre-war, but these were built, well, pre-war and a little bit later, late 40s, possibly even early 1950s these were built. Incredible little things. Really, really tasty. And there's a bit more motorcycle action over here. Like I said, we've got motorcycles over there, mopeds, glorious pedal cars. Wow. Lovely condition. There's an Austin 7 box saloon just over the back there, close to the Austin 7 Ulster. A very swish looking Rolls-Royce saloon just over the back. Very nice. The big doors are up there, so I'm guessing that comes out from time to time. We've got a Morris Mini here, the Morris Mini Mark I from 1966. That's a very bonny looking little car indeed. Also in grey, slightly greyer than the Frog Eye. Original red interior in it as well. Looks in lovely condition, that. Slidey windows. Okie dokie, let's carry on along here. Got an MV Augusta motorcycle there. Look at this incredible Centaur. Good grief, that's got some age to it, hasn't it? HO710. The old gas lighting here. That's a Miller. What an incredible machine that is. Look at the leather belt drive on it as well. Lovely lofty saloon again. Probably the end of the 20s, beginning of the 1930s. Very, very usable car. Solid, dependable, torquey engines in these. Yeah, lovely. What a great... It's great to see so many early cars. But my eye is drawn to what's parked next to it. This super little Peugeot van. As regulars to the channel will know, I do like a van, and I do like a vintage car, and a vintage van, well, that's the best of both worlds. Isn't that just incredible? Look at the radiator on that and the badging. It's got fabric covering on most of the body as well. Lucas, king of the road lamps there. What an incredible creation. How has that survived? No pneumatic tyres on these. This is going back, what, 110 years, something like that. Wow. Huge solid tyres at the back there. Vast, epic chain drive on there as well. There's a bit of lawnmower action over there too. Look at the height of that pump, that Shell pump. We're back outside again, and let's have a look at these wonderful old petrol pumps. Some real beauties here. These are so sought after. Look at that. An old Avery here with the old clock face type dial. I wonder when that last dispensed a bit of motor spirit to a passing motorist. It's got a Shell globe on the top up there. That would have been proudly illuminated at night. Yeah. What a phenomenal thing. We've got a bit of jack action over here. Super old tyres as well. Just like how an old garage would have been. Old tyres, old wheels, all that kind of thing. What an incredible collection of goodies. Yeah, I could definitely live here. What's this with a Pratt's globe on the top? Now, what do they call these? Is it Fat Man or something like that, isn't it? Because they're sort of like a bit pot-bellied in the middle. And that hinges out, this cover here. You'd pull that back. I'm not sure if it's open, no. But you'd pull that back and then you'd see the dial in there for dispensing the fuel. We've got another Avery here, Avery Hardall. Complete with SO globe on the top. Wow. And over here, a Wayne. Now, you don't see too many of those around. Complete with Cleveland premium globe on it. Here we have Mark II Mini, the Austin Mini on an H plate. So what's that, about 1970 I would have thought. It's one of the Woody Minis. Of course the wood on these, unlike the Morris Minor Traveller, the wood on these is purely decorative, whereas on the Morris Minor base cars it is structural. Yes, I'm pretty sure you can buy all the wood kits for these if you buy one of these to restore. This one looks pretty original, to be honest. And there are actually quite a few BMC cars in this particular museum, so that's always a bit of a treat to see. But look at this. Oof. There's a car close to my heart, a little Standard 8. We recently sold ours, but we've had a number of the small standards over the years. This looks like a very bonny example. Indeed, it's an 803cc car. I wonder what year this one is. It's a 55. Ours was a 1956. This one was built before 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday the 6th of July 1955. So this is a 1980 Ital 1.3 HL automatic. So the 1.3s, that would have the A plus engine, which was a reworked version of the old A series, which dates back right back to the early 1950s, and the Austin A30. A bit of history here. So quite the row of British Leyland, BMC and later Austin Rover Group cars here. Moggy, as we've just been looking at here, and alongside it we've got the Wolseley 1500, one of my favourite post-war BMC cars. So these ally the rack and pinion steering and great handling of the Morris Minor, but with a different body, a very attractive looking body I think, and the B series engine, so somewhat bigger than the A series that the Moggy had as standard. This is a lovely example in grey. This is one of the slightly facelifted cars, slightly wider grills, turn signals on the front there. This one's not on its original registration, it's probably been lost at some point over the years. This version had the larger backlights lifted from the A40 Farina, which you can just about see. That is one good looking car, I do love that. Look at the lamps on that as well. Great old Lucas lamps there. Originally fitted with sports tourer bodywork, later fitted with a van body, and finally fitted with saloon coachwork. Wow. Bit of info on the Vickers Viscount as well. Second prototype Viscount was completed as a one-off research aircraft using two experimental RB44 Tay engines. Appeared at Farnborough Air Show in 1950 alongside the new Comets, the de Havilland Comet. Wow. And we have an incredible model of the modified Viscount up there. Usually the Viscount, the Vickers Viscount, would have had 4 propeller engines on it. This is altogether different and very interesting. We do occasionally see right-hand drive cars because these were also built at the Ford factory in Trafford Park in Manchester. but this looks like an original left hooker built in the US of A. Incredible cars. 20 odd million of those were built. This is a car, I've owned one of these, Austin A40 Somerset. This will be about 1952, 53, something like that. Based on the running gear of the previous A40 Devon. 1200cc 4-cylinder engine. The engine that would later be modified and become the B series, but this is sort of like the pre-B series engine. 1.2 litre column shift. The Ford Pop, the 103E here. These were produced throughout the 1950s, from about 1953 to 1959. Very much a pre-war design really, but just soldiered on as the cheapest car in Ford's UK model range for year after year after year. And they still sold these things, were everywhere. If you wanted a back to basics budget motor car, but a new car in the 1950s, well, you may well have opted for one of these. Not fast, but it'll get you there eventually, and that's all that really mattered. This is the Ford Consul. It is a Mark I Ford Consul. This from 1954, so the 4-cylinder car. The Zephyr and the Zodiac would have the 6-pot engine up front. And look at this, the little Austin Healey Sprite, the Mark I Sprite, a so-called Frog Eye Sprite, based on A-series running gear engine, not all that dissimilar really to that fitted to the Austin A35. So this has got the 4.5 litre Edward Turner designed V8 Hemi engine. I think this is still used for wedding car hire. What a great thing. So the DR450 was the elongated limousine version of the Daimler Majestic Major, which in itself wasn't exactly a small car, but this one is a real beauty. Great V8 waffle to it. What a beauty that is. So that it could live on and be enjoyed by visitors to the museum. And what a great job they've done of this. So we've got wooden framework, hard red cedar wood, and then it's clad in corrugated iron. And there it is, in situ where it was going to be cleared away from. Unfortunately. So it's believed that in 1949 Jack French rescued and built his garage from a redundant wartime canteen. And there is the side valve 4-cylinder engine, all 747cc of it. The Chummy first came out in 1922. This is a slightly later example, it's a 29. Earlier cars, the headlights would have been mounted on the scuttle. By this point in time, the headlights had moved to the conventional position alongside the radiator. But really, it's just the atmosphere of the whole place that takes you. Amazing, it just takes you by surprise. I've forgotten just how much stuff is packed into here. Look at that. Maudsley cars, alongside a huge array of illuminated petrol pump globes, all sorts up there. Shell Economy, Cleveland, Super Discol, Power, Shell Mex, National Benzol, Super Shell, Redline, Fina Mixture, etc, etc. What a incredible assortment of pedal aeroplanes. Look at that one up there. Wow. And this one here. Look at that. How cool is that? Quite a few bicycles hanging up from the heavens as well. A Bertram Mills Circus. What make of tandem are we looking at up there? Glad I've got the extending pole on the camera this morning because it gives me a chance to have a really good close look at all these incredible bicycles and bits of memorabilia. Yeah,
That's on a tyre safe 1890s.
just incredible. The mighty Pratt's fuel pump over here, the petrol pump. So tall as well. That is just incredible. All the original paint as well. We like that kind of thing. Little pre-war sports car from 1932. What a cracking little car that is. It's a beautiful day as well out there, so that would just be the perfect car to go racing around the lanes of the Cotswolds in. I wonder when it last ran. Bit of info here. Car went on sale for £199 and 10 shillings. Maximum speed 65 miles an hour. Although the tuned up version did make 82. And that's driven by Autocar magazine. Wow. Pretty tasty Dominion petrol pump over the back there. Washing line out attached, one end attached to another stunning vintage caravan. Wow. Just everywhere you look. Incredible old things dotted around. Talking of old things dotted around, a couple of great motorbikes. Sunbeam from 1924, hand gear change, just on the side of the flat tank. These are called flat tankers, this era of bike. That really is a Bobby Dazzler. And alongside that, a new Imperial from 1930. And look at this motorcycling royalty over here. Twin cylinder 680cc 1916 Indian. The American built Indian. Wow. Look at that. Cool. So original. Look at the paint. Just try and lean past the side a bit with the camera so you can see that. But that is a real treat to see. The original registration number, the original plate. Such an original looking bike all over. Yeah, just wonderful. Oop, just touch the sign there. The sign for the Austin Bantam. So that, I think, was a license-built Austin 7. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, design adapted to suit the American market. So these were built under license from 1929. 8,500 were sold, and it went bankrupt in 1934. So that's based on the British Austin 7, but designed and built in America for the local market. Yet another cabinet rammed with fantastic old memorabilia. I'll try and feature as many of the signs as possible. Apologies if I miss out something that you spot in the background and would have liked a closer look at, but I'll do my best. How about this? A rally bicycle, a ladies' rally bicycle, complete with sidecar. Excellent. Complete with springing. It's got little springs down there as well. You probably can't quite see those. Maybe you can see that one a little bit better. Yeah, how about that? Ladies' cycle with sidecar. Just awesome. We're back to another vast display case here. Many, many automotive mascots dotted around in there. But look at that alongside it.
So cool.
What an incredible thing. I mean, it must have weighed a ton to pedal. But, whoa, what a thing that is, isn't it?
Very rich to have that.
Yes, quite a few triangles on the back there. More pedal aeroplane action. The Spirit of St. Louis, Charles Lindbergh's famous aircraft. Trike. What an incredible assortment of toys. That Pathfinder's a bit tasty, isn't it? That looks super original looking. Certainly very old paint.
Would it be original though?
It could be on very old.
Because the wheels on ours are darker, and they only did the wheels in one colour, and that is a different colour.
Yeah,
Isn't it on that one I noticed how much better does it look with that period tread?
Yeah, oh yeah, they look nice with the period correct tyres.
That looks a lot nicer than the tyres.
There's Brum, the famous Brum. There he is, TV star. Lots of smaller versions of Brum in this cabinet here. One time a super famous little car. I'm sure many of you watching this probably grew up watching Brum on the TV.
That was like bare metal playing.
That is incredible. Can you imagine pedalling that around as a kid?
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Wow, what a thing.
I imagine the propeller must turn as well.
It probably does, doesn't it? Yeah, probably does. Bit of rocking horse action up there. Another wonderful triangle just up there.
You don't often see these sort of sports cars, pedal cars that often.